guys, it's Miss Rachel. Welcome back to Miss Rachel Reads. Today I'm going to show you a couple activities that you can do with something that you might have at home for the holidays because Easter's coming up. So if you're looking for a fun thing to do that your kids will really enjoy but they can also get something out of, let's talk a little bit about plastic Easter eggs. So I put mine in an egg carton just for fun, but I do have a bunch of Easter eggs and I came up with some activities that you can use plastic Easter eggs for, and you can really scale it up, scale it down, depending on where your child is. If they're a little younger, there's some activities for younger kids. If they're older, almost in kindergarten, there's some activities for them too. So let's get started. The first activity that I have is just color matching. So you would take the tops of the eggs and the bottoms and have them in a little bin, or just have them out on the floor, and then have your child find the matching colors. So if they take the bottoms and they're putting them together, do these colors match? Are they the same? And then your child might go, no, they're not the same. So they have to find the tops and bottoms that match. And the good thing about these Easter eggs is that the bottoms and tops all fit together, so it really doesn't matter on the color, but that way you can work on the ones that do match and go together. So that's something you can, and you gotta be a little careful. This is also really good for fine motor skills because the kids kind of have to like pinch at them and manipulate them to get them to close the right way. They have to really use those small muscle movements. Let's get you in there. There we go. So finding matching colors is the first thing. And this is a really simple one. If you have a younger child, this might be the activity that they work on first. The next one I have for you is finding letters. So, and this depends on how many plastic Easter eggs you have. If you have a lot, you could do the whole alphabet and set them up around your house, maybe outside, and your child can go find them and then open them up and find the letters. If you don't have that many, if you just have like one pack or even, not a whole pack, I would do the letters in your child's name just because those letters are really important to them because they're their letters. So in mine, I have my Easter egg, and then inside I have a little R for Rachel. So I would, set them up, find the letters. And the good thing too is if you do the letters in your child's name, then they can organize them and put them in order. So that's a fun one. So that's finding those. Along with that, you can also look for numbers. So I, in this one, have the number 1. And with these two, it doesn't necessarily have to be the number. It could also be, let's say there's a little card with 2 dots on it. Oh, how many dots are there? So you can integrate some counting in there as well. And then also along with that, I have some shapes. So you could work on different shapes. You could go, oh, here's a triangle. And you can extend that activity too by being like, here's a triangle in this egg. Can you find a triangle in our house? And then your child has to look and really find those shapes. And you could really find those shapes anywhere. See behind me I got some hexagons. So that's just another way to extend that activity for your child. So the next one would be, this would be a really good outside activity. So this is finding the eggs, and then each egg has a gross motor activity inside. So something to move their whole body. So let's say your child picked up this egg and said, oh, I found one. Open it up. And it says 7 bunny hops. So you and your child together would count and do 7 hops. And then when you're done with the 7 hops, you look for another egg. So this one, you don't need as many eggs. You can just use a couple just because every egg will have its own activity. So this is a really fun one. And it also gets them moving. It gets them exercising. You could do push-ups. You could do bear crawls. You could do jumping jacks. They could spin around. They could run for 20 seconds. And this also helps them practice that rote counting. So they'll be counting the numbers in order while they do it. All right. My next one is, this one you actually only need the halves of the eggs. And you can use the top half or the bottom half. It really doesn't matter. So this is a fine motor activity. Again, those small muscles in your hands and wrists. This is also a STEM activity. So STEM, if you remember, stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that's just kind of the whole encompassing thing of doing science and math and those kind of activities. So this is one where your child would, this would be on a table, not your hand, but I would have my halves of my eggs, and I would use my fine motor muscles to manipulate these, but also be thinking about how I can make a tower. And so making towers, figuring out the balancing, figuring out how many tall it is, how I can make a better tower. Do the little sides of the egg work better than the big sides, or do the big sides work better? So that's all STEM questions, and that also gets their brains really working and gets them really engaged. And it's also fun to make the little towers, and when they fall over, it's very funny. So that is, whoops, just dropped one. So that is the STEM activity that you can do. There's also, if you check Pinterest, if you check a lot of educational websites, have other activities you could do with Easter eggs. Also ones that you can do with regular chicken eggs. They have like egg painting, ways to do different dyes. So there's a lot of good things to do. Even if you don't have the plastic eggs, you can still do these kind of Easter activities. So the next one I have is, so these eggs that I have, some of them have big numbers on them. So I would have, it could be erasers, it could be little tiny toys, things that'll fit in here. And then you tell the child, oh, this egg has a 1 on it, let's put 1 object inside. So if you see, I already put my little dinosaur, I put 1 dinosaur inside of my egg. So there's 1 on there, so only 1 dinosaur goes in there. And this helps teach your child that basically the number that they end on when they count is how many there are. So if they're counting 2, oh, there's a 2 on this egg, let's put 2 toys inside. 1, 2, we said 2, so we stop. And that's just a good way to show the number that you end on is the last number. And that's how many there are. This is a good one, another matching. This would be if your child is getting to the point where they can count with that one-to-one correspondence, like pointing and counting, and also has a little bit of number recognition, but you can always help them with this too. So this would be, you would have the half separate. So here's my 5, and then I'm looking for a half that has 5 dots. And you can also make this easier or harder by either doing the same colors or different colors. So you can make it easier by being like, well, you know the other half is green, so find a green half. Or if you want it to be harder, you can mix up the halves. You could have a blue half with a green half, but it's the same. So that's a good way to scale it up, scale it down. But so with this, I would make sure that I'm using my one-to-one correspondence. Every time I say a number, I'm pointing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's 5. It's the same as this one. So, oh, where'd my 5 go? Oh, there he is. Okay. So, and then you would put them together. So, making matches like that, that's a really good way to tie the numeral, the number itself, to how many that there are. The next thing I have is along that line. This would be for children that are a little older, getting ready to go to kindergarten. This would be looking for the uppercase and lowercase letters. So if your child is really good with letters, you can give them the uppercase letter and say, okay, now you need to find the lowercase b. So they would find it. And same thing with the letters. You can do same color, different colors. It really doesn't matter. Same color would be easier. So if you say, okay, we're looking for a blue B, we're looking for a blue B. Now you go find a lowercase blue b. So that might make it a little easier. If they're different colors, it might be a little harder for some younger kids. But you know, if you have older kids who are ready for that, you can always do that as well. All right, and then the last two I have are literacy based, along with the uppercase and lowercase letters. So the first one is compound words, which is actually something that we do in preschool. You might not realize. So compound words are just, you know, those little tiny words that we put together to make a big word. So in our class, what we do is we'll smash words together. So for the word doghouse, we would go dog, house, doghouse. So that's how we smash words together. And it just provides, it's called phonemic awareness, where the children are learning that the letters and sounds and parts of words help us manipulate words, and that way we can learn how to read and learn how those sounds work. So you could, and this one you would probably want to use the same color on both sides. So you would have a bunch of, you know, however many colors you have of your eggs, but different words. So for me, I have cup and cake on this one. So you can have them be separate all around, and then when they put them together, you go, oh look, we have cup and cake. And then you can practice the hand motion too when you put them together. What word is that? Cup, cake, cupcake. It's cupcake. And you can do that with any compound word. So anything that's made up of two separate words, that would be a really good one. And also they have lists. You can look online, or you know, you can always just think off the top of your head for some simple compound words like doghouse, football, snowman, those kinds of words. And then this one, this is a really advanced skill. So if your child isn't ready for this, that's okay. This is the adding, deleting, and substituting sounds. So right here, I have the word rat because I have r, and at. So if I take off the I still have at. But if I put on a different letter, like c, I have at, cat. And if I take off the c off the I have at. And if I add a h, I have hat. So this is a harder skill because the children have to take off a sound and put a sound back on. If they're a little older, if they're almost ready for kindergarten, usually they're at the stage where they can start doing this with the first letter. And we've started doing this in my class, I know as well, where we'll have our sounds will be, this is the word cup. Take away k, you have up. So they might start to get that, and you can always use hand motions with it too. This would be taking off the first sound and adding it back in. You just want to make sure if you're facing your child that you're using your right hand, because to them this will be the left or the first sound. So right now I'm using my right hand because I know that when you see this, it'll be flipped. So yeah, and then you can also talk about how these words all rhyme because they all end in at. So at, hat, at, rat, at, cat, at, mat, at, bat. So that's a great way for the kids to isolate that first sound and can also work on some rhyming words. So these are all great activities. Hopefully if you have some leftover Easter eggs at home, you can think about using those. And I hope you enjoy your Easter holiday. If that's something you do. And I'll see you back next time. Thanks. Bye.